Spring has sprung. I think that's a pear tree. That's plums. That's an apple tree down here. We've got another one there, pear tree over there. Will I ever eat the fruit off of these trees? I don't know. Someday, this will be an orchard out here, which is a good use of space. Okay, this morning I seen a video upload from a journalist in Mariupol, the south coast of the Ukraine. I think it's near the Sea of Azov. We've all become military experts, haven't we? We were all microbiologists during the pandemic. Now we're all military commentators. I've seen a video, I might even link it in the description, from Mariupol. The place is flattened. There's not a lot left of it. There was a battalion based there called the Azov Battalion, who the Russian military had a bit of an issue with. I don't think they're there anymore. I think they've all been turned into kebab meat. Considering I'm a vegetarian pacifist, that's not something that really appeals to me. So we will do this. Mariupol's been flattened, hasn't it? The propaganda in the West would make you think that the Russians were in the back foot and their military was being hammered. Nothing could be further from the truth. There was a sad realisation about to happen amongst Western journalists and politicians. I knew it from the moment Russia fired its first missile into the Ukraine. I couldn't believe they did it, honestly. I knew from the minute they fired the first missile in there it was over for the Ukrainian military, regardless of the hundreds of millions of pounds worth of weapons we've been shipping into that country to pour petrol in the fire, get the flames burning brighter, and kill more Ukrainians than Russians. At what point do our political leaders tell the Ukrainian government to negotiate a ceasefire? The Ukrainian military have been fighting like lions, but they had no chance. They never had a chance. NATO lying to them, the EU lying to them, the CIA lying to them, the American government lying to them. It's just, it's hard to get your head around about it, isn't it? The poor people. The video I'll link in the description below. It's just grandmothers walking about, looking shell-shocked, looking for some place safe to go and get away from the bombing, you know. There's a bigger geopolitical message in the war in the Ukraine as well. I mean, Putin, what's he calling it? A special military operation? That's a nice bit of Russian propaganda there, isn't it? It's not even a war. It's Mike Tyson taking on a 6-year-old schoolgirl. Well, again, no disrespect to the people of the Ukraine or the Ukrainian military. They have held their own. They've inflicted heavy losses onto the Russian hardware and the Russian armed forces. It's really sad to see two peoples that have been tied by so much for so long, doing so much damage to each other. It's just, it's insanity, you know. However, there's a bigger geopolitical message here, isn't there? This isn't about the Ukraine. This is about America's dominance in Europe. It's about all the nuclear weapons bases America have got in Europe. They found 25 biological warfare laboratories in Ukraine. Now, if you were Russian, and your TV shows you the fact that these laboratories were there, you're going to be backing Putin, aren't you? Who in their right mind would have sanctioned putting weapons of mass destruction on the Russian border? It's absolute insanity. For Zelensky, I don't think he's in charge of anything that's happening over there. This is a CIA hatchet job, 100%. He's only doing what the Americans tell him to do. And I mean, mate, get your finger out your ass your country is going to be turned into rubble unless you negotiate with the Russians. You should have did it 2 weeks ago. Jumping about with your green khaki uniform on, I mean, it's visually it looks great, you look like a man of the people, but if you were a man of the people, you would be negotiating with the Russians to stop this immediately. It's going to be slaughter over there. The bigger geopolitical message is to NATO and America, isn't it, and the EU. Some of these EU countries, Poland, allowing weapons to travel across their border. I think the people in Poland need to have an election to work out whether that was a good idea or not. I can just imagine the Russians taking notes in the background and going, well, they're a bunch of scumballs, you know. The British government sending over weapons. As soon as they're going to cross the border, the Russians are just whacking the shit out of them. They fired a hypersonic missile the other day that vaporised a military base. They've not got to their most dangerous, nastiest pieces of kit yet. That's coming, you know. If the Ukrainians don't negotiate, the Russians will take as much of their country if they want. If NATO gets involved in this, the Russians will take as much of Europe as they can be bothered conquer. There is nothing that's going to stop these people apart from communication. The Russians have already whacked us, haven't they, without firing a shot into Europe. They've destroyed our energy prices. Everyone said for years Russia was just a big gas station. It's not. It's a mammoth wheat exporter, titanium, aluminium. It's the most resource-rich country in the world. And we've just cut ties with it. This is going to come back and bite Europe on its backside on a level that we cannot comprehend. And I'm going to throw a quick one in at the end. The battery, my phone's about to go and I don't want to lose this riveting video. Nicola Sturgeon from the Scottish Government was suggesting sending MiG-29 fighters into the Ukraine. That's insanity. What I think Nicola Sturgeon should be doing is travelling down to Westminster, telling them that Scotland's facing the biggest existential threat our country's ever faced in its history, and it is, with having the nuclear weapons base and the submarine base in our soil. She should travel down to Westminster, walk into the House of Commons, the House of Commons, there you go, that shows you the sort of a hierarchical system we've got in the UK. Walk into the House of Commons and say you've got a month to get the weapons out of that building before we let in international weapons inspectors and the Russian military to prove that there's nothing there that can possibly be used in a fight against Russia. And the other thing I would say is just declare independence. Deal with the fallout later on, you know. It's the British government that stuck that stuff in our country. We never got a vote in it. We didn't get asked for it. Just we go down. We tell them we close down the bases. Tell them we're bringing in international weapons inspectors and the Russian military to have a look at the bases. Our country declares independence immediately. We go down the path of neutrality. NATO's days are over. That's the next thing about the whole conflict in the Ukraine, isn't it? It was to show what a paper tiger NATO is. If NATO could do anything about this, they would have done it. They can't. They could not take on the Russian military. Nothing is going to be able to fight these people in Europe. They're a superpower. They've got a battle-hardened army. NATO's just a bunch of fat couch potatoes that don't know their arse from their elbows, guys that want to kid on their hard by sitting in nuclear submarines. Forget about that stuff. Scottish Government should declare independence for the country, tell Westminster they have 1 month to get the weapons out of our country, and the next thing we have to do is nationalise the energy infrastructure in Scotland, along with declaring neutrality and saying that NATO will never be allowed into our country. So, depressing rant, but depressing times, isn't it? I'm going to plant as many fruit trees and herbs as I possibly can, because I think the food supply issue is going to be getting hit really, really hard. Thanks for watching. Don't be too frightened of the nuclear bombs. You'll not even see the flash if you're in Glasgow. Bye.